Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Adobe Live here in the UK. And we are live every day from midday until 1 p.m. It's really interesting today that we have such a cool session planned for you. And we're happy to welcome Lobulo. Welcome to Adobe Live.
Hi, everyone.
I've just been saying to Lobulo that we have so many familiar faces that come back for all of our live streams. And, just want to say hello to everybody in the chat. We've got Kirsty, Gareth, Stuart and Sean, as well as Jackie and Sarah as well. So hi, everybody. We are chatting in Behance today. So if you would like to ask Lobulo any questions, then please do get in touch on Behance. It's behance.net/Adobe Live. And we're not chatting in YouTube. All of our chat will be in Behance today. So I know that Emma has shared the link to Lobulo's work in the chat already, and lots of people are saying, wow, can't wait for this session. Lobulo, what have you got in store for us today?
Okay, so I'm gonna explain a bit of the beginnings, more or less like how I started doing what I do. And then because like we are here on my studio, I can show you the proper ones, like all the making of the process and the works and how I move it, how I animate it. And yeah, that's the funny part, that I can actually move and show you everything that they have. So that's going to be the most interesting part, maybe.
Fab. I don't think we've seen a lot of props and things that people have made before. So I really can't wait to get into your work and show everybody some of the really cool things.
That's good.
Yeah, let's jump in, shall we?
Okay. Yeah, let me try to find the presentation. Okay. So, okay. So can you see my display? Okay. So hi, everyone. That's me. I'm gonna put you like a video that is my reel, just because like I prefer to show it in that way, and then everyone can see all my work and there's not gonna be questions for anybody. So, oh, sorry. Okay. Oh, no. Okay, so here I am.
Wow. Okay. So you go. So I was just, wow, lots of appreciation for this in the chat as well. Everyone's saying, cool video, love the music, love this.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm Lobulo from Lobulo Studio. I have a studio in Dalston in Hackney. So I'm an art director, craftsman. I don't know how to consider myself. I do animation, commercials, still life photography. Actually, I make things in real. So I don't use any 3D software or any rendering or anything. So actually everything that I make is for real. And I just wanted to show you a bit of the background, how I started doing what I do, the beginnings, and more or less like all my life and career. So everything started with this thingy here. So that was my first project that I ever done. It was really funny because like I was working for like 10 years in a studio. I was really tired, and then I went home and I see like a lot of like this kind of paper samples on my desk, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do something to have fun, and then I'm gonna decide to put it on the internet, because like it was like a fashion thing like 10 years ago to put things on Facebook, and then you can tag your friends and say Merry Christmas or anything like this. So as you can see, like it was like really cheap, everything. So only with like few papers and a light, I decided to make this thing here. it's not really polite message. It's like, it's fucking freezing, but it says in Spanish that it's even worse. So I decided to put it in Facebook, and I don't know why. The thing, it goes viral, and everyone was sharing and sharing and sharing. In that moment, I think like 12, 13 years ago, Papercraft was not like that popular. It was like few studios doing this. Now everyone is like doing it because it's super easy. You build it in 3D, you send it to a software that is already making all the stuff, and then you print it, and then you are an artist. So it's like, it's kind of easy, but back in the days, it was kind of like more tricky. Then I decided to do this, and a guy from a magazine published it, and I was really happy because like in one night doing what I wanted to do, I got like a publishing magazine accepting my work, and I was like, okay, I've been working 15 years in design companies, and now in one night, I it's like I got like the appreciation that I needed. Then the guy from the magazine called me and it's like, okay, let's gonna do something about Lady Gaga. The brief was really simple. It was like, you have to do something about Lady Gaga and about the music. I didn't like Lady Gaga in that moment, and the budget was 0. So then I decided to, okay, I'm gonna kill Lady Gaga, and I'm gonna show them like how I want Lady Gaga be. Then I decided to play with all the muscles and everything like this, because I think Lady Gaga is one of these characters that they are like begging for attention. So in that moment, it's like, what else? So it's like, I think it's a good point. If I kill you, you're gonna get all the attention that you want. Then this was the final one. The guy from the magazine didn't like it at all because he was a huge fan of Lady Gaga. So he never published it. He never obviously pay me, or never did anything like this. So I was kind of annoyed because like it was my second kind of work, even if it was not a work, it was like a collaboration for a magazine. But I was kind of pissed because like I spent a lot of time trying to improve the thing and doing the photos in my bedroom and working a lot of extra hours. And I was like, okay, I should do something with this. And I decided to do spam, basically. I sent it to all the magazines, all the books in the world, and no one published it. But then 1 year later, a book called Papercraft published my work, and it was like insanely amazing for me because like, when it's back in the days it was totally different because you get the book, the physical book, and seeing your work in a book is kind of nice and smells so good, and you can open it and you can, I don't know, it's like totally different feeling that someone posting your work on Instagram, maybe I'm because I'm quite old school, but seeing your work in a book, it was like in that moment, it was like it really blew my mind. So that kept me happy just to, okay, let's gonna try to make something like this because like it was kind of nice and new for me. Then I decided to do more things like this. So it was like an Facebook event that you have to design like a cover for a magazine, and it was Converse involved. So it's like you have to submit your design, and then everyone on Facebook is going to vote for the thing. So I decided to do this because like for me, mixing Converse, the magazine, and summer was kind of like this kind of scenarios on the movies, on the American movies, that the last day of the school, before summer comes, you have to dissect the frog, and then the frog jumps and the girls scream and everyone laugh about it. So that's why I decided to make this. And because I'm really into anatomy and insects, as you will see on my work.
Yeah, and what got you into this in the first place, Lobulo? Like when you started and you created that 3D image at the start, what inspired you to go into this and do this?
I don't know. I think it was like I was really, when I was studying, I was really into the vector thing, because like it was like freehand in the moment. It's like really back in the days, and it's like everything was computer generated. But when I studied, they told us like how to build things, how to screen printing, how to make typographies with wood. So it was kind of on my background. So I was kind of tired of seeing my work in a computer, but I wanted to actually touch my work and build something that is real rather than something printed. And because like I'm kind of picky, when you build something, you can move it, you can trick with the lights, and you can actually, it's more playful. Sometimes it's not that fun with commercials, but in the end, it's like, it's something nice that you can actually interact with, and it's pretty interesting.
And was there an artist that had inspired you that did something similar, or was this all just coming from your imagination and your creativity?
At the beginning, if I have to be 100% honest, no. And that's what I missed from the beginning, because it was so pure, and it was like totally no filters, because it was no work. It was no clients. It was like, it was all in my background that I wanted to do biology. But when I knew that it was like 10 years of my life studying, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna do this. Like, I'm terrible at studying, so I'm gonna try to find something that I can use the scalpels and open insects and don't kill anybody. So that's why I started doing all this kind of muscles and opening stuff, because that's what I wanted to do. But I don't have the time to extend 10 years of my life opening insects. That's kind of tricky.
And I think, as you mentioned at the start of your career, you were building things that you wanted to build, put it on social media, get it seen, and that has resulted in this work. And so you entered a competition on Facebook with this image. And did you say that you'd won, and this was what was the magazine cover?
Yeah, but the thing is, like, everyone hated. At the beginning, I was like, everyone, I was texting me, like, oh my God, a child can do something like this. That's ridiculous. No one is gonna like this. But in the end, the cover was the winner. And I felt like kind of like a rock star, like seeing my work on a newspaper magazine. And I was like, oh my God, they don't send me a magazine, so I have to buy my own copy. That's kind of weird. But yeah, in the end, it was cool. It was the beginnings are pretty tough, guys. So it's like everyone nowadays. And then I started doing commercial thing. My first works was like making anatomic illustrations of human parts for magazines. So my first commercial was for Health New York, and it was for this magazine that they wanted to show the parts of the vagina, but they don't want to show it in the rude way. They don't want to use any photography, anything like this. So they asked me to do like a paper vagina to represent the work. So that was actually my first work. It's kind of like impacting to see, but it is what it is. And then because of this, I started working with US, and the second work in my career, it was like another vagina, and it was like for a perfume in US. Yeah, it was for this kind of perfumes that you go to a party, you flirt with the guy, you don't have time, and you put the perfume and everything is clean. So yeah, they asked me to do like a cheerful vagina, and and young. So that's why I decided to put it in blue. And I don't know, it's kind of tricky, but the beginnings are really tough. And yeah, I had to do what I had to do. No complaints about it. And then maybe because I was really into the anatomy and all these kind of like visceral things, a lot of people started calling me to do this kind of tricky, funny work, tactile. So I did a poster for the Benny Hill show that is actually like a real pump that you can touch and stamp. Yeah. And then I did this. It's like, everyone likes the other parts of the body. So I was sharing a studio in Dalston, and everyone was having a lot of plans in the studio, and I was the new one. My English was a disaster. I couldn't communicate really well. So I decided to make a plan. So it's like everyone like cocks and everyone like cactus. So if we mix it, everyone's gonna be happy. No, they look at me like a weirdo, and I wasn't.
And that image that you just shared, was that a 3D image that you built, or is that actually a prop that you'd actually?
Everything that I'm showing is like proper props. So it's like everything is real. So there's no 3D, anything. I'm terrible with 3D. I try it 100 times because everyone is like, you should try it, you should try it, you should try it. But I think it's going backwards. I don't like 3D. I don't feel comfortable with 3D, and I think if I learn 3D, I'm gonna go backwards in my career. So I'm gonna get used to the easy thing, and I don't like easy stuff. Kind of, even if it sounds weird, like I prefer to do it in my way. Maybe it takes more time, but I enjoy the process, and I enjoy having the real things on my hands, rather than having a render and sharing it with the client. That is something that I don't really get.
Because you don't want to stop productivity. You want to keep creating, and that would slow you down totally, to spend too much time in another application.
And I know myself, so...
Oh, sorry.
No, that I know myself, and I know that if I learn 3D, I'm going to get super used to it, and I'm going to sit down on my sofa with my computer, just generating images. Yeah. And that's not the thing that I want to do, actually.
No. And Curtin asks a question saying, how many assistants do you require to make this kind of art?
I don't have any assistants. No.
No, right. Well, in your video, I noticed that there was you. I did see a couple of other people in that massive kind of city that you were making, but you did all of this by yourself.
Wow. In that commercials, when it's like a huge commercial project, and we have to film, obviously we have like the guy directing the video, the guy directing the cameras, the guy like helping everything or building everything. Building everything means like the lighting, photography, and it's a lot of people involved. And in the city, it was me and Fabi, one of my friends, that we made everything in 1 week. So it was kind of tough, but normally I don't get assistance because it's kind of weird, but it's like every time that I try it, I spend more time explaining to the people how we have to do it. And I would love to have the time, but when we have a commercial project, the timing is pretty tight. So you cannot spend the time that you would love to spend with like a person trying to, let's I'm gonna explain you this and this and this. And it's kind of bad, but it's like, I prefer to make it by myself.
And how long would you spend on a piece like this? Asks Comic Sans in the chat.
Like a piece like the one that I'm showing now, or like
like the one that you're showing now, because that's multiple pieces.
That's kind of more or less like 3 days, 2 days. Yeah, that was for a festival, and it was like a campaign related with the things like human parts and kind of like tricky things, and no filters, and so it's kind of 3 days making the thing. It's like maybe it's like 2 days of building and then 1 day of taking photos and doing all the sets, and then designing. That's different, because like when you get a project like this, you're gonna spend like a lot of time like doing feedback process, like sending sketches to the client's gonna change, and I didn't count this process, but maybe it's like depends of the client. It can be 1 week, it can be 2 weeks, it can be 3 months of changes, like it's always like depends of like the client, but in production it's like 1 week, less than 1 week.
Amazing. And did you, is this all self-taught, or did you do anything at university to learn this trade, these tools?
The thing is, like, in my university, we were like, they taught us how to make things by sketch. So it's like, when we learn graphic design, we were learning graphic design from the beginning to the end. So at the first year, we were studying like typography, but we were building typography, and we were building the posters, and we were doing the screen printing. So we were not allowed to touch a computer till like the last year of my career. So it was kind of annoying in that time, because I remember that everyone in other universities were like doing like, I don't know, like websites and all these kind of crazy things. And I was full of ink, like with a lot of cuts on my hands. And I was like, oh my God, I just made a poster. And these people is making futuristic things like websites, like motion. And I really hated it in that moment, honestly, because I felt like I was like going backwards, kind of like, why in my university they are like doing this instead of going to the future. But I really appreciate it right now, that I know how to do the thing rather than design it in computer.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, cool. And you're going to take us through almost like a step-by-step process of how you begin a project like this, and then bring it into reality. So, oh, here we go. Yeah, we've got some more images.
Yeah. So just because like this kind of clients appears, the Erotic Festival in Barcelona called me, and it was really complicated brief because like last year, I think it was 2019, 2018. I cannot remember because with the coronavirus time, it seems like an eternity slot time. But they called me and they told me, it's like, okay, we are really tired of this kind of bad posters of like showing female bodies or showing, like this kind of visceral things and showing sex in that bad way. It's like, okay, it has to be more easy and doesn't have to offend anybody. And actually trying to don't offend anybody right now is kind of complicated because everyone gets offended super quickly. Everybody gets offended super quickly. You use like a photo of a glass of wine and it's like, no, that's super masculine, that's super feminine. It's like, oh my God. So take it easy. It's like, it's like, and we were trying things and I decided, okay, let's gonna do sketches. That was one of my first sketches. I was like totally like throwing ideas and I was like, okay, toilet paper is not offensive to anybody. And I think it's pretty clean what it is. And you can see it. And it's like an erotic festival. Everyone needs toilet paper for these kind of things. But they thought like it was super offensive. And they thought like, okay, that's really like a guy thing. And that's really like, like we don't want to reflect this thing. That's really bad for women. I was like, oh, okay. So I don't get it. I can get the point, but I think it's not offensive. But okay, let's carry on. Let's carry on. And we decided to do this kind of Jeff Koons thing with balloons. And because like the balloons, it was like the latex. It was involved with like a lot of things. And it was pretty interesting, but then I realized that we have to remove all the tags because the client wanted like kind of like separated like female, male, these kind of things. And I was like, okay, let's gonna try it because it can be two females, two males, two whatever. It's not offensive, and that's when I decided to do this with balloons. It was everything red, everything like you cannot see anything. They are not female, masculine, they are not anything. They are actually balloons. So you can show it to your kids. Your kids is not going to be aggressive for them to see this in the city. It's kind of nice. They are kissing. They are not doing anything wrong, But if you're an adult, you will take your dirty mind into another things. And that's how end up the thing.
That is a good image. And imagine getting the brief for this project. That would be
The brief was complicated. It's like do something for an erotic festival that they call it erotic festival when they can call it porn festival because there is not erotic things anymore. And trying to make something clean, not offensive. Yeah, it was kind of tricky. But I was really happy with the final result. The typography was really nice and everyone was happy. It was not offensive. So you can see it on the city and it was like not annoying anybody.
And there's a question from Gareth who asks, do you use particular materials for your builds?
I use a lot of wood and paper, and even if it's bad, I use a lot of PVC and plastics. Yeah, I know it's not really like into the recycling thing or saving the planet, but I'm part of like, I'm killing the planet a lot. I don't feel really proud of, but that's my work. It's just like plastics, papers, no recycling paper, just like pure paper from trees.
No worries. A lot of people like the images that you've just shared with the balloons. Sharon has shared that she's been a balloon artist for many years, and she really likes the image that you showed.
That's good. So it was really funny for me to learn the thing. And then, sorry guys. And then it was like more into the thing. I was like trying to make a lot of stuff, and it was the beginning of my career, and I was like really inspired by the thing. So really recognized it paper brand. sent me an email like, can you do something for us? It was like they want to do like a competition that you can ask for the paper, they will send you the paper, you can build a mask, and then you can upload the photos on the internet and you can get like an award. Like, and the awards was like, the pricing was like computers, paper, photography things. You know, it was like stuff to make work. So for me, it was like pretty nice because like they told me like, okay, we don't gonna pay you with money, but we're gonna pay you with the price. So it was like, that's pretty interesting. And then when I decided to do this crazy work.
We may contain the urge to run away, but hold her down with soggy clothes and breeze blocks. Cetirizine, your fevers greet me again. Never kisses, or do you ever send a full stop? Do you know where the muffins go? They go along to take your hand. Way down how we build our breakfast down and say my love.
Yeah, and this few of the photos that I took to the contest, it was pretty interesting. It was like more going out of like my comfort area of like dissecting insects or human body parts. And then because of this, a festival called Greg in Barcelona called me like 2 years ago to do like the mask for the festivals. They really like my approach of this kind of like piñatas, fantasy scenarios that I did like few masks for a festival, then I did these posters for a techno festival in Spain, and then I did the piñatas, and they thought like it will be nice to make something like this, but for a really interesting approach of theater festival. Yeah. So they put this poster that I made on the brief, that they really like this outfit, that it was like a lot of work, but it was like really interesting. And they sent me this brief. It's like, you have to do 4 masks, one for children audience, the contemporary one, the Central Asia, and the Asian flavor. Still don't get the difference between Central Asia and Asian flavor, but it's like, that was the brief. Sorry. And that was my approach. So I really wanted to create something simple, but really complex and with a really flat background, paying more attention to the face of the character rather than the mask. So it has to be like a communication between like the human part and all the masks, because in the end it's for theater. So the guy who is gonna act or perform, it's kind of important for him to have like, put some expression into the face, you know?
Yeah.
So that's more or less the look and feel that they sent to the client. And then I started like sketching. So I know a lot of people use like 3D, so like, I just use photocopies and pens and start like drawing. So that's few sketches at the beginning. So that's more or less like more sketches. That's the few approach that I sent to them. More sketches, and when they accepted, we were trying to connect the dots, and it was like they were really happy with sketches, and then I had to start like building the stuff. And when I start building, normally I keep the client post, like, so I send a lot of images like I'm doing this and this and this, because sometimes like the clients are not really used to see real stuff built. So they think like maybe when you send the poster, they're gonna correct the color or they're gonna correct the stuff. And it's like, there's no way that you can correct the color when, it's like a real thing. So it's gonna be complicated. You can do it in Photoshop, you can do it in a lot of different tools, but the fun part is making it for real, and it's not making any, 3D or anything like this.
Yeah.
And when I start, sorry.
Oh no, you go.
No, and when I start like building, it's like this. At the beginning, it was super flat, as you can see, and I was like, oh, I don't really like this, because like when you sketch on pen, you never know. This kind of paper have these things like everything looks pretty low poly, and sometimes it's like good, and sometimes it's not that good. For the theater festival, I wanted something really organic, so I decided to cover all the not mistakes, but all the low poly with like textures and feathers, and and I was getting more into the things that I was liking it. Then I sent to the clients more photos about like the jewelry of the mask.
Oh,
Then,
wow.
yeah,
The detail's amazing.
then more details because like, as you can see, like with the background, it was super flat. And I was like, "Oh, I don't really like the flat thing. I just want to make something really simple at the first sketch. But if you pay attention, there's a lot of detail on it. So I decided to put more textures. And then, yeah, that was a contemporary one. And yeah, that's few tests that I sent to the
Wow.
client because I was like doing this by myself and I don't have the models. So I have to try it by myself and kind of like take photos and videos
Wow.
of me moving. And yeah, it's kind of sad faces, sorry, but it was like really late and I was trying to think. And
Wow.
that's the final ones. So it was pretty interesting to mix this kind of African culture with the Japanese one and with this colorful t-shirt, but everything on a soft palette. That's the other one.
And when you're designing them, when you were drawing your ideas, you said that you're drawing over photocopies of images. So you're not doing it digitally. You're drawing literally to paper.
Yeah.
Do you draw with the build in mind, knowing how easy it will be to build something, or do you just draw and then work out how to make it later?
No, okay, so that's kind of a tricky question because like something that I'm trying to get rid of is like, because like I've been working for like the last 10 years on building things. And at the beginning, it was so pure and natural that I was sketching things. And then I was like, okay, now I have to know how to build this. So I have to figure out how to do it. But now, because like I already built a lot of stuff, my brain sometimes switch and I'm still like doing things like I know how to build it. So I wanted to try to go back to, like the thing of like squeeze your brain and send something and the client accept it and you are like, oh my God, I don't know how to do this. So you have to learn really quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, now it's tricky because like I learn a lot how to make things and sometimes my brain really go to the comfort area of like, okay, start drawing. And it's like, no, but I really know how to make this. I wanted to make something different. So yeah, I think, yeah, it's kind of complicated sometimes, but I really want to go back to the, to the thing. That's why I always try new materials and new things because yeah, my work is building and directing things, but I wanted to always to learn something new about my work because if not, it gets like kind of boring. So this is the one for the kids. That is actually my favorite. The kid was super happy to have this mask. And I was feeling really bad because the kid wanted to keep it. And I was like, you cannot do it. Yeah. And that was like the one for contemporary, that it was a nightmare. I'm really happy with the photo, but it was a nightmare because like we have to stitch one by one because because everything have to move. And if you do it with paper, the paper is kind of solid, so it doesn't move. So you have to do it one by one. And when I was sketching, it was really easy because I was doing this. And then when I started making it, I was like, oh my God, it's going to be the complicated one. And it's not the one that I feel more proud of. But in the end, I'm really happy with the whole context.
And then do you find that because you make everything, do they break when your models put them on or when you're throwing, because I noticed some of your shots are in the air. So when you're throwing them, like, are they breaking at all? Is that extra work?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they break. That's why you have to do a lot of copies of your work. Normally for shooting like this, it's only one and a lot of different pieces that because you are building the stuff, what's going to be the trick part. It's like maybe the eyes, you have like few copies more just in case like the guys touch the eyes and the eyes fell. So you are on set, so you have to have like a lot of different solutions for the thing.
Yeah.
And then I started working with commercials like Casio, like iPhone thing, like kitchen scenario for people, more magazines, butter, and then this. So because like I was going back to the commercial work, and it was something that at the beginning I was totally doing my thing, and it was like super pure and super natural. I was missing do the personal projects, and my mom had this image on his bedroom, And I was like, okay, I want to do something to make my mom proud of, but I want to make something that I like and something that she likes, and trying to make something for her, trying to convince her that I was not doing paper vaginas for a living. It was kind of tricky. So in the end, that's what I did. Yeah, and this is the final one.
That is so good. There's so much detail. And Steve has shared that this is great cinematography as well. Your videos were amazing.
Thank you.
Really good. Caroline
Yeah.
says, wow, that's so detailed. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. So there is the final one. My mom was really happy. Even she doesn't know who Darth Vader is. She thinks like it's a black god that I like. So I wanted to keep it in a way. It's super naive and it's super sweet at the same time. So she have the poster, she have the real one, and she still think like it's something that I adore or idolatrate. Then I came to London, and it was pretty tough because like at the beginning, new studio, new things, new work, and I decided I end up working in you come to London, you need actually money because like it's a city that you need to work because like everything is kind of expensive. And then I started working in a company, and then after 1 year working in a company, I realized that I was going backwards again. I was going to the advertising, I was going to the comfortable part, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna quit everything again. I'm gonna start again. So I started working in Dalston, and I started doing my personal work. And in that moment, it was pretty tough because like there was no clients, anything, new country, new places, new friends, new everything. So I decided to make something that it really kind of inspired me or keep me going. That's when I decided to do this poster, to have in my studio. This actually do epic shit, like do whatever you want, but go for it and do it well. Because in the end, it's like if you fight for it, you're gonna get it. It's like, yeah. I mean, I started working with paper vaginas, and then I did like Google commercials. So if you do something and you really put like effort and time, you're gonna see the results. Maybe not in 1 week, maybe not in 2 weeks, but if you have to keep going, and it's gonna be something good.
And this is on your wall in your office, is it? That image?
Yeah, it's on my office. It's not here in my house, but yeah.
No.
Yeah, my house looks like a workshop, but it's my studio in my house. So yeah, you will see more detail later that I have a lot of stuff there. So then I started working with Google, that they did few campaigns for Google. That's a Christmas campaign. That's a New Year's campaign for Google. A lot of Google things. Then more Coca-Cola, that I did few murals and works for them. Then Fanta, that I did like this crazy posters for them. And then Radisson Blu called me. So Radisson Blu, it's like a hotel chain that with a lot of nice hotels around the world. And they wanted to do like a website, but instead of like doing like a normal website, they want to do like a website with all the hotels that they have in different parts of the place and the world. So they have to be like a city made of different cities. So you can navigate in the website and you can discover the cities. And when you know the city, you put the name of the city. And if you put all the names well, you win like a, I don't know, like a trip for around the world for the Radisson Hotel. So it was really interesting because we have to use like the motion cameras and everything because it have to be like inside the city and a lot of different things. And this is one of the shot of the cities. And this all the buildings that we have to do. So the tricky part that in every work that I've done is like you learn something new, and something that I learned here is like architects are artists too, and we sometimes we forget about it. It's like, and every building that you know have rights. So you cannot actually use this building for a commercial use if you don't pay the rights. So we were like, okay, so we have to make a city that it looks like a city, but we cannot use the buildings of the city because if not, we're gonna have to pay a lot of money on rights. And I was like, oh my God. So they called me last minute. It's like, you have to redesign everything from scratch because you have to make everything look like, but don't represent it with the classic one. And I was like, oh my God. There's some buildings like the Torre Eiffel in Paris that the rights are expired, but in New York or US or Taiwan, and like all the buildings, like these new buildings that you know, they have rights. So you cannot use the building. So you have to actually redesign the thing to make them look like the building.
Wow. Yeah. And is that the biggest project you've ever worked on?
In not the big one, but in a scale, it was pretty big. I think it was like 9 meters of city.
Oh my gosh.
So in a scale, maybe in one set, it was like probably one of the big ones, but but not in terms of sets, because like when I did like commercials, you only gonna see few things on camera, but it's a lot of shots, a lot of actions. So in the end, it's like a lot of different props. And I think I have here the making of, because it looks better and everyone can really understand it. So that's a few photos of the close-ups of the city. I think this was Stockholm, so you can see like few buildings of Stockholm looks like. That's Moscow. That's US.
Wow.
That's somewhere in, I think it was Shanghai. Yeah, and that's making of.
We built this city.
Sorry.
We built this city on rock and
Obviously, that was not the song that they put, but like when we were making this, it was like 1 week, and we were singing all the time, like we built a city on the studio, and we decided to put it in the making of because it was kind of like funny to hear.
It's a catchy song, though. I love that
Yeah.
song. I was singing along in my head as watching it. These videos are so good, and there's so much love for the detail and patience, you know, that you've put into your work.
It's
And
a lot of
there's a
coffee.
question. Yeah, the question was, how much time did that take, that whole project?
Okay, let's gonna say like maybe designing everything and sending everything, like camera movements, accepting the buildings and everything was like 2-3 weeks with the client. Just designing on the computer is like drawing things and, you know, so like presenting the stuff. And then for the building, it was 1 week.
Wow.
For building everything, painting everything, it was 1 week.
Wow.
Yeah, it's always like a nightmare. I don't think like, yeah, it's fair enough to have 1 week to build everything like this, but you know, it's like, because everything on advertising is really quick, and we are used to have like a lot of easy things because we are used to have Photoshop, like 3D softwares that you can change things really quickly.
Yeah.
And then the client is used to work in that kind of fast way that they know that they can make things really quick. But when they have to build something for real, they wanted to keep the timings at the same time, you know, like they wanted to keep 1 week of production. It's like, it's not the same designing in 3D in 1 week that building actually all the stuff in 1 week. But in advertising, you have to go there and you have to accept it, and you have to, yeah, you have to fight for it. So
Wow.
yeah.
And what's your favorite thing to work on? Like, I know that we're just about to go into personal projects. What would you love if you had a dream project right now? What would it be?
At Film Pro, it will be like, I don't know, like an empty space that they can do whatever they want. Not commercial, not anything like this. So yeah, kind of like an exhibition or something like this, but not exhibiting anything in, yeah, just like do random things that I'm more interested right now. Because every time that I have to do an exhibition, something, it has to be about my work, but my work that I've already done. And yeah, it's something that, yeah, I have to start like fixing, because like maybe because I've been doing a lot of paper projects, people put you a tag and you are the guy who make paper, and that's not actually the real thing. It's like on the videos that I show you, it's like that city is made by paper, PVC, plastics, wood, and in the end, the look and feel, you look something craft, and you, it's like, okay, because it's made by the paper guy, it's gonna be paper. But it's not all paper in my work. But yeah, I kind of try to get rid of this tag, because when people put you a tag, it's kind of dangerous. And I don't really like the tags. It's like, I don't really like to be the paper guy, or, you know, or like the guy who's doing this.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I'm actually building a lot of stuff on personal projects that I always dedicate some time just to go away and try to investigate for myself.
Sure. I mean, Stuart says in the chat that a walkthrough exhibition of your work would be stunning with lighting.
Thank you.
Yeah. So talk us through your personal projects. Like, what have you been working on at the moment?
So I'm gonna show you a few of the personal projects that I did. It's really quick because I want to go into the details to the new ones. So this was a few insects that I done. Like this was for an exhibition that they actually, they wanted to create something like feminine and natural, and we like it's not aggressive, it's not anything. And I actually have things here, so that's the real ones.
Oh wow, you can see.
Yeah. So yeah, I have all my work.
You must have so many, like you must need a separate room to house. I mean, we've seen a lot of work already with the buildings, the masks, the rows that you just showed us. Are these in like a lovely display cabinet or shelf in your office, or?
No, it's like, if I have to be honest, it's like it's on these boxes here. So it's like I have millions of boxes, and I have to put it in boxes. And then when I get a lot of boxes, I pack everything and I send it to my mom. And she storage the thing and she keep it safe. And yeah, she really liked to have the thing that I built is there in kind of like exhibit for herself.
Yeah, proud mama at home with all of your work for sure.
Yeah. So that's few letters that I did like for our workshops. So I'm gonna pass this really quickly because it's not like you can check these things. Then I did like few. That's not actually personal, but it's kind of commercial. But it's they made me do whatever I wanted. So I consider this personal too. Few covers for books with few animations like The Exorcist, The Vertigo, and here you can see. Okay, so that's the funny part that I can actually go like this and show the real work. So I think that's a Vertigo. So that's
wow.
So that's a cover book.
Wow, is that all card? Is it all like plastic and cut? Wow.
So it's paper, so it's few layers of paper, and then you see this. Yeah. Amazing. So I try to keep everything here in my studio, but when I get a lot of projects, it's like I just send it to my mom. That is like my security guy.
Yeah. And we saw that in one of your videos you had I think it was like a drawer full of scalpels and knives and things. Do you get injured at all doing this? Because I know if I was around sharp knives, I would get injured.
No, I never cut myself by accident. It's like never. Yeah. Oh, wow. I always joke about it.
Yeah.
I sometimes because I'm joking, I cut, and I have like a little mistakes. But yeah, I never like did it by accident. Actually.
Wow.
I'm really to be really like making sure that everything is gonna be okay. Like it's my tool work. So this was for like a cover for like an album for a rapper in US. So that's the final cover, and that's the machine. It's here. So that's the machine.
That is so cool.
So it moves. Yeah, it moves like this.
See, if you looked at that, you would think it was made in Illustrator and animated. You wouldn't think that it's all real. Like it's amazing.
It's actually real. It's like you can move everything, and you can move everything like this. Yeah. So it's real. It's not 3D. It's for real. If you see the back, it's like all the mechanisms. It's really ugly, but the front part is like nice. So you can see like the original one, and the actually it's like that's the scale of the thing.
Wow. So impressed.
And that's like the update of like the coronavirus personal projects that I've been doing. That is like because of the lockdown, it was like a really tough time, but I kind of love it so much because I think it's, even if it sounds kind of tricky to say, but I think the world needs to stop. And it was really nice to have a moment of like, you have to do nothing. There is no pressure. Nobody can do anything at all. So you have to, and everyone was like, oh my God, what should I do? What should I do? Just like sit down and enjoy,
Yeah,
that's it.
You're so right.
But we are not used to have this time because everything is on a schedule and everything have to be like, you have to do a lot of things in your day. And it was like a moment of like, you don't have to do anything. And people was like, I'm super stressed. And I was like, why? The only thing that you have to do is to stay at home and relax. So I think it was like an amazing time for me, sorry. But I really, really enjoy it. And I'm still enjoying it somehow. So I decided to go away of the paper because like, I don't like the tag of the thing. And I wanted to show like, okay, it's not everything paper, but I wanted to show it in detail. So I was working with a charity and they wanted to make a poster with a human heart about like, like for the COVID and the things. And they asked me, it's like, you have to be really anatomically correct. And it have to be in paper. And I was like, okay, I cannot find paper right now because I cannot go out. And the delivery guys are like, I don't have suppliers. So it was really at the beginning of, it was in March. It was when the lockdown was pretty hardcore. So it was like, can I make it in something else? And they were like super happy. And I was like, yeah, sure. and I made these posters. So I prefer the one with like no clowns and everything, but it's like they really want to put something more childish and more natural. And yeah, and this is the heart that is here. So it's like a scale of, so it's like a human heart. It's like anatomical correct, and it's about like a 7-year-old kid kind of the sizing. So it's correct. So yeah, everything is like made by hand. So that's the funny part of my work, that you have to, you don't have to modulate anything. You just have to build with your hands and try things, and that's pretty interesting. And I think it's something that people have to learn. It's like how to work with your hands, because it's really interesting, and you always have to, you can move it, you can throw it, you can throw it to the bin, and then maybe you realize that it's broken, but it's broken in a good part. So
and it's so good that you've adapted your style from paper to plasticine. Catherine asked, would you carve from vegetables or from other materials as well? Have you tried that?
I try it a few times, but they get rotten really quickly. And like when you start working with the apple, they get like oxidated, so they get kind of ugly. And I freaked out sometimes. I did it, but I don't like the final result. I like to work with like more like dead things, like materials, rather than
materials.
Materials, not dead bodies. But maybe in some moment of my career, I'm gonna have to do it, and it will be okay. I did worse things, so if it's dead, it's fine. It's not gonna hurt. Then because everyone was like doing like a lot of 3D, and Instagram was like, everyone was like doing a lot of work. It's like, because everyone was like, I have to work, and I was like, okay, I don't have to work, you have to relax. I was trying to make something really interesting. It's like Marty is one of my best friends, and I was like, he's like an amazing artist in 3D, and I wanted to do a series of like copying his work, or copying work the people that I admired, but building it in real life. So this is one of like the figures on 3D that they have, and I made it in real with plastiline and wood. So I did my versions, trying to explain that it's like, it's not that complicated to make the real thing. Obviously, it's going to be easier if you make it in computer generated, but it's kind of interesting because like you're going to see like different perspectives on different things. So that's one of the projects that I was working on the lockdown. And then I was trying to make a lot of animation, like in stop motion, of like with different tricks and different cameras. And that was few tests of like a really simple cube, but we wanted to put like slimes. So that's the final one. It's like this like stop motion with like this liquid that you can accelerate. And that's another project that I was working with Fabi, one of my friends, that because we cannot go out, and he was in Barcelona and I was in London. I was like, oh, I really miss you, I want to do something, so let's gonna do something. It's like, let's gonna try to work online and try to collaborate. So he was sending me reference of animations, a lot of movements, and I was trying to make it with a puppet. And I never animate a puppet. I never design a puppet. I never design like the skeleton of a puppet. So it was really interesting to work with. That's few examples. That a lot of full of mistakes. So it took me a lot of time to understand it. And that's one of the puppets is here. So it's real. So you can say hi. So you can move everything. So you can move the sun rays, like. You can move everything, and it's hairy. It's super funny.
Oh, I love it! I love it. Well, it's been fun having you on today. Your work is absolutely just inspirational. There's just so many different parts of what you do, and it's been really good, seeing your creative process. Your videos are really good. I've never seen people showcase their work through the videos with such catchy tunes and things like that as well. So I've really enjoyed having you on as a guest today.
Thank you so much.
It's been so good. And the chat, you've got so much appreciation in the chat. Everybody is, big fans of your work. Everybody, the chat will continue on Discord, and we'll be back same time tomorrow for another Adobe Live from midday till 1 o'clock tomorrow. So thank you, Lobulo, and thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you so much. Bye.